Now going on to the business blunder of the day, you have Sony hit with a near $8 billion lawsuit for simply setting the prices in their own store. Now, this comes thanks to Fox Business and the claims that Sony was slapped with nearly $8 billion lawsuit over the PlayStation Store prices. The claims were brought to by Alex Neil, who's a consumer advocate who's worked on previous campaigns. Although some people might just call it an ambulance chaser, but
safe online is a priority.
I love pop-ups, don't you? But nevertheless, it looks like a London tribunal ruled that Sony must face near an $8 billion lawsuit over claims that the PlayStation maker abused its dominant position in the market by charging quote-unquote excessive prices to consumers. The UK's Compensation Appeal Tribunal ruled that Sony must face a lawsuit worth up to £6.6 billion or $7.9 billion over claims brought by Alexis Neal, a consumer advocate who is working again on previous campaigns. Now, they noted that Sony Interactive Entertainment was sued last year on behalf of nearly 9 million people in the UK who had bought digital games or add-on content through Sony's PlayStation Store. Neal's lawyers argued that the aggregate damages estimate up to be £6.3 billion, rather. Now, Neal alleges that Sony required digital games and add-ons to be bought and sold only via the online PlayStation Store, which charges a 30% commission to developers and publishers. The claim alleges consumers have therefore paid higher prices for games and add-on content than they would have. Does that sound like the most frivolous BS lawsuit of your lifetime? Maybe not the, but perhaps top 10. Again, they started that store. They built that store. They built the product. If you want to go buy the product, you have to go to their store. That's like complaining about the price of an Apple charger and going to the Apple store and wondering, well, wait a minute, why is it so expensive? Oh, because it's the Apple store and Apple designed it after Apple built it? They built the platform, they built the store. And again, there's no law forcing people to buy their product. It's a luxury item that no one needs. I mean, I get it, it's a fun little toy, but you don't need it. And it's not like a price fixing of a commodity like gasoline or milk or cheese where you have farmers or sellers get together and agree to a price. That's illegal. That makes more sense. There's collusion there. But in this case, it's literally Sony just charging prices on their own store. And they don't even define excessive. Really? So interestingly enough, and thankfully enough, there's a comments section. So let's jump into the comments section and see what people are saying. Someone by name of, let's see here, JB101B says, quote, last time I checked, no one is forcing people in the UK to buy a PlayStation. Also, both Apple's and Google App Store also charge a 30% commission. Are they going to slap them with a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit as well? This is the price you pay if you want to have an app distribution ecosystem where Google, Apple, Sony have to invest money to secure it from cyber criminals and prevent infected apps and games from being downloaded onto your device. UK should go spend money and work on their own creative gaming ecosystem and try to accomplish what Sony, Apple, or Google did, unquote. Exactly. Darn good point. G. Kurt at your service says, quote, I can not see how an entity can tell a company how much to charge for their wares. Simply speaking, if people are willing to pay for them, it is their problem. No one is forced to buy the item, unquote. Again, makes sense. See here. Dr. Jill Brass says, quote, this is the last straw. I'm switching to Game Boy, unquote. Which, talking about apples to oranges, a Game Boy versus a PlayStation? Like, come on now. Nickel Soup says, quote, how dare they set the prices in their store, unquote. Enjoy the Decline says, quote, you know what entity takes people's money and charges them for services that is never held accountable? The government, unquote. A lot of people saying this is why they hate lawyers. A lot of people saying the Brits have gone stupid. Why won't they do this to Apple and Google? Or wouldn't it apply to them? So interestingly enough, a lot of people have the same consensus, which makes sense, but the business lawyers still getting sued for that amount. I don't know if they just had to have better lawyers in place to combat this to begin with, or I don't know if they should just do a small settlement to get it out of their way. Again, it does. Again, for the people who only read the headlines and don't dive into the substance, it does not make them look good. And again, that's Sony. That's got to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in today, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, the comments are a great way to leave me feedback so I can know on what things are better to invest in, things that I can work on, make the show better and better, and actually want to actually make the contributions even more effective, make the show more compelling, more interesting. So if you have feedback, I'd love to hear for it, even if it is harsh critiques. I think that is how you grow the most. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.